Okay, we're going to take a look at the eraser tool in Illustrator and also the knife and scissors tools. First thing I'm going to do is go over to the tool panel on the left here. And I click and hold here on the eraser tool. You can see there's two tools underneath. If I click my cursor to the very end here, it creates this little tear off panel, which is handy because it gives me access to all the tools that are underneath. Now the eraser tool, the first thing we need to do actually is select the thing we want to erase. So I'm going to select this A here. And then with the eraser tool, it basically just does what it says. It's an eraser. So if I want to get rid of that, you can see it's removed it. Oops, if I have any bits left behind, I can erase them. So basically the eraser tool just removes the part of objects that you run over it with. And I'm going to hit Command Z to bring that back. It erases the size of that little circle there. You can make the little circle bigger. There's a couple of places that you can do this. Number one, which I think is handiest, is if you hit the right bracket key, it makes the eraser bigger. If you hit the left bracket key, these are the keys that are to the left of the P on your keyboard, left bracket makes it smaller. You could also double click on the eraser itself, and this gives you some more options. Now, if you happen to want an eraser that looks like a calligraphy brush for some reason, you can change the roundness and you can change the angle. I'm going to leave the roundness on 100% here. You can also change the size here. And if you click here, it actually changes these aspects at random, which probably you're not going to use that often. I don't think I've ever used it, but it is there. And if you click reset, it takes it back to the defaults here. So I'm going to click OK. So you can change the size here either by double clicking on the eraser tool in the panel or else by using the bracket keys. A couple of other tricks. If you hold down the Option key, watch what happens as I click and drag. You can see erasing. This would be handy. Oops, has to be selected. You can see this could be handy if you're erasing a large chunk of something. And again, I'll hit Command Z to bring that back. If you hold down the Shift key, this could be handy. It constrains it to a straight line. And again, we have to select it. But the straight line is either horizontal, vertical, or 45 degrees. But sometimes you want to erase something neatly. Remember, it has to be selected. Even complex objects like this car here. And here's a tip. If you're in any other tool in Illustrator and you hold down the Command key, it will switch it back to the last selection key that you used. So the last selection tool that I used is the the selection tool. So that's what it goes back to, the black arrow. And you can see that it doesn't care if it's a complex object with a lot of parts. It just goes right through them. So that's the eraser tool. And again, the eraser tool, the result is actually two filled paths, and the part in between them has been erased. So I'm going to hit Command Z again to undo that. Similar to the eraser tool is the knife tool. The difference between the eraser and the knife is that the eraser tool actually will erase part of the image. The knife tool just actually cuts it. So if I drag it across, oops, you can see that it's just cut it into two different parts. And they are separate pieces because you can see the stroke now goes around the whole thing. So they're actually two closed paths. And this is important when I talk about the when I'm talking about the scissors tool, because it's a little bit different. If you hold down Option when you're using the knife tool, and again I'll Command click to select this, If you're using the knife tool and you hold down Option, it actually constrains it to a straight line, and that's actually kind of useful because it will go at any angle. So if you need a nice, neat, straight cut, then the knife tool will work. So I'm going to hit Command Z again a couple times here because I want to show you what happens with the scissors tool. The scissors tool is actually quite different in that what it does is it actually cuts the path. So you want to put it right on the path and click it, and what it does is it adds an extra point. See, I've added an extra point there, and it's actually created two open paths. So it's probably less useful because there aren't that many times that you're using an open path in Illustrator, but that's what the scissors tool does, and you have to click it right on the path itself.